Hey Fabricators, and welcome to another Advancing Fabric, brought to you by Advancing Analytics, your data and AI and lakehouse experts. And I'm joined once again today by my co-fabricator, Johnny.
Hey Fabricators.
Hey. So we are here today to talk about what we've been up to recently. Johnny, do you want to fill everyone in?
Yeah, so last week, both Craig and myself flew across to Norway to visit Oslo to attend Fabric February. So Fabric February, it was a 3-day conference, a day of pre-cons, a day of general sessions, a day of post-cons as well, all based around all things Fabric. So we had a great time whilst we were there. And whilst we were there, Craig, I think you had a catch-up with a few people, didn't you?
I did, yeah. So we got to speak to some of the Microsoft product team with Fabric. We had an interview with Luke Maloney, who's a senior PM with Azure Data. And we also spoke to Mark Price-Mayer, who is a product manager as well. So we've got those queued up for you here, and we'll play them just now. And you can just see, we can have a little talk about what we spoke about in those interviews. We are here at Fabric February in Oslo, and I'm joined here by Luke.
Hi.
Luke,
Hi. Nice to be here.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, about what you do?
Yeah. So I'm a senior PM team within Azure Data, focusing on Fabric. I work in our strategic accounts and ISV team, so look after some of the largest accounts and largest ISVs who are building on top of Fabric.
Brilliant. And you were speaking here today, and you've got a workshop tomorrow, don't you?
Yeah. So I was speaking today about data engineering and the CoPilot experience that we've got. So did a quick little demo, showed how GitHub Copilot's great if you've got code that's not linked as much to your data. But as soon as you're in like a notebook and you want to be working with not just code but also your data and you want that context there, the Copilot that we've gone into preview with is just massively accelerates your developer efficiency. You can write some code and be like, why didn't this work? Or alternatively, this seems pretty poorly optimized. Can you help optimize that code for me? And it does a pretty great job.
Nice.
And then tomorrow, we're doing a data engineering. So going through the Fabric experiences from the point of view of a data engineer. And that's really the data engineer persona. So everything from like pipelines, ETL processes, and then you could be doing some of that ETL process in Data Flows Gen 2, data pipelines, or we're going to focus a fair bit on the Lakehouse and Spark.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant! That sounds good. So, obviously, CoPilot is a buzzword that's flying around everywhere at the moment. So I need to dig into that a little bit more. I've seen obviously using tools like ChatGPT, and you're write some code for me, and it is all very generic. It's kind of like you say, it's removed from your data. So when you're working with CoPilot in Fabric, that's giving you that context built in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you start to be able to do things like, I want to join this table to this table, or I want to shred some files that I've got in a folder, maybe they're XML or something like that. So you can talk about your data and what you want to do to the data, rather than just be like, help me write a function that takes XML with this schema.
Yeah.
So it just gives you a lot more context. And obviously it abides by the sort of promises of Azure OpenAI. So we're not using customer data for training, and there's a whole host of T's and C's around that. But it's sort of a much more governed experience, but you get the context of your data.
Yeah, that's going to be the key piece. I've had a little play around with it in notebooks, and just giving me some stats, giving me some information on the data and how it's made up, and where there's potential quality things that it seems like the possibilities are endless for that. Like you say, I didn't realize there was that kind of performance element where you can say this code might not be very well written.
Yeah. So in the Fabric Copilot, you can sort of say, here's some code that I've written. Maybe I know a little bit about Python, but I'm not
like me.
I'm not great. You can give it to that and say, what are some other ways to achieve this? Or one of the demos I actually showed was I'm a T-SQL developer, so I'm select top 10 star. And in Spark, that's going to be like,
Yeah.
no, no luck, right? Because the top 10 is a T-SQL syntax.
Yeah.
But you ask it, you're like, hang on a minute, why did this run? Like, why did I get an error? And it just rewrites it for you. So from making notebooks more accessible to someone who maybe is traditional T-SQL developer, it just massively accelerates that experience.
Yeah, because you've always kind of had that split of like data engineering, and it's Python, and then you've got SQL, and it always felt like these are two different personas. They're not really going to cross over, and I think that gives you the ability to sort of blur those lines a little bit. People can kind of see, well, maybe I can use this tooling, and I'm going to get better results, and I can actually learn this a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, and ultimately that's kind of the promise of Fabric, right? We've got the data warehouse experience, we've got a Spark experience, and this, we provide bridging capability within the platform, but there are some times where you're just like, I want to do this in a notebook. Like, it makes more sense maybe to do this in a notebook or whatever the case might be, and you can actually then do that, and you can be efficient as a developer, because if you're a T-SQL developer, you understand the fundamentals of what you want to do. It's just the syntax can catch you out, and the optimization can catch you out, which is, that's not what a lot of people should be focusing on.
Yeah. That's super exciting.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about that. So you've been here at the event. You got here yesterday, or was it last night?
I got in late last night, yeah.
What do you think of Oslo?
I've been here before, around the same time actually last year, weirdly. I really like Oslo. Great coffee, which personally I think is very important for a conference.
Yes.
But beautiful city, people are absolutely lovely, conference is fantastic. I think they were saying they've sold out or something like that. So yeah, overall, 2 thumbs up from my point of view.
Brilliant, yeah.
A little
bit cold?
Well, I mean, I'm an Australian, so I always whinge when it's like below probably about 20 degrees Celsius, so I kind of move on from that. But yeah, how have you found it?
Yeah, it's been lovely. Not really had much of a chance to explore, but lovely city, and like flying in, kind of seeing the landscape and everything was amazing.
Yeah, very
impressive.
Yeah.
So have you managed to make it along to any other sessions today, or has it been head down prep for today and tomorrow's?
A little bit of prep, but I've gone to some other sessions. So I was, at the same time I was speaking, or in the same room, Gabby from the Fabric Cat team was talking. I saw Mark talking from the data warehouse team within Microsoft. Ben Weissman gave a great talk about learning and development and being part of the community. So there's been some fantastic sessions, and a nice mix of like, here's technical information, here's sort of how I did it type information, and here's like non-technical things about here's how we're all going to learn, and here's how get involved in the community, and let's make it more inclusive. Yeah,
pretty wide breadth of content, I think. Yeah, they did well with session selection, I think.
Yeah, I just find you can have technical content, but there's just a point where you want to break. Like you need something that just engages a totally different part of your brain. You sort of think differently. So I've loved it. What about you? What have you seen?
So I was head down on some prep, but I went into, I saw a new speaker, one of the lightning talks very briefly. And you would never be able to tell that he was a new speaker, and it was super impressive. And I think just seeing that caliber of speakers, and like I'd heard some feedback from the organisers that the caliber of everyone's kind of sessions has been unexpectedly high. So yeah, it's great.
It's a great problem to have.
Yeah. So see, if we take CoPilot aside, what would you say is your favourite feature inside Fabric?
The problem is I'm going to annoy someone, right? I'm going to not pick a particular feature that somebody likes. I guess I would come down to the idea that I can have my data warehouse, I can have my lake house, I can be using a single T-SQL interface across my data, I can then shortcut that data in. It really makes it just all come together. As someone who's sort of in a previous life spent a lot of time looking at like SQL Server Management Studio, running queries, doing that sort of work, to me that is unbelievably cool. So that would be if I had to pick, but there are a lot of other runners up. What about you?
So I'd definitely say shortcuts. I really like shortcuts, and the one lake under the hood. Like I was talking a little bit today about data mesh. So just the capabilities of like having that one lake under all of your workspaces and the ability to kind of pull data in from any of those to other ones, just really kind of opens up the possibilities of building that kind of domain-based data architecture. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. But yeah, thanks a lot for talking to us, and I hope you have a great rest of the event and your workshop goes really well tomorrow.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
So that was Luke that we spoke to at the event. So what did you think, Johnny? There was a lot of talk around CoPilot there, like quite buzzwordy recently, but I know you've had to play about with it.
Yeah, definitely. So CoPilot is very exciting. I like the point that Luke's making there about the fact it's context aware. So you're not just asking it questions and it's giving you answers. It actually sort of has a look at and sort of understands a little bit about your data so that there's some context there in terms of the answers it's providing you. I think for me, when I played around with it, you've just got to make sure that you have structured your data well to be able to make sure that works effectively. So it's all very well that the engine sort of can work with some context, but you've got to provide it a little bit of context to make sure that it's well structured, decent naming conventions, maybe descriptions and synonyms as well. But yeah, CoPilot is pretty cool when it works well.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like anything, isn't it? You're only going to get out as like good quality if that's what you're actually putting into the process. So it all comes down to good quality data under the hood, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So was there anyone else that you had a catch up with whilst we're in Oslo, Craig?
Yeah, so we spoke to Mark Price-Mayer, who's the product manager for mirroring in Fabric, if anyone's heard of that yet. So we'll go over to Mark and the chat that I had with him and see what he had to say. We're here at Fabric February in Oslo with Mark.
Hey.
Mark, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Mark Price-Mayer. I'm a product manager at Microsoft, working on Fabric and a few little features.
Excellent. So you were speaking here today, weren't you?
Yes, I had a very short session on mirroring. Shh. Because it's in private preview. We have to be very careful about what we say.
Okay, excellent. So what can you tell us about mirroring then?
I mean, virtually nothing. Sorry, only really a few things. So we are taking data from sources, so a select number of sources. We've already released some videos on it. And if you look at my boss's videos on Ignite, you'll see that we're covering SQLDB, Cosmos, and Snowflake.
Excellent. So how does that work? How is that helping people use Fabric then, mirroring?
Okay, so what it's doing is it's taking a lot of the hard work and effort about bringing that data across from those source systems over into Fabric. So you can, within a few clicks, I can now bring pretty much everything from SQLDB, Cosmos or Snowflake and land it into V-ordered Delta tables, and then I can do Power BI reports on top.
Excellent. Yeah, that does sound really good.
It is.
So does that get rid of that kind of ETL or ELT process if it's just there?
If you want to keep it really simple, yes. So so this isn't a very complex process. We just move the data across. If you want to do any sort of proper ETL, as in extract, so we're doing extract and load, essentially.
Okay, yeah.
So if you're doing an ET, then you've got to do the T yourself.
Okay, yeah. So you're doing that in Fabric, so it's the EL of the ELT then, I guess, at the start?
Yeah, so,
excellent.
And it's really simple.
Yeah.
So, as you'll see from the demos, it's pretty much a few button clicks, and then you are away with all that data.
Okay, nice. So it's just a couple of button clicks, not a new wizard that we need to go through, or nice and easy?
Yes, and well, should we say, you're making me feel uncomfortable again. No, so there's because it's in private preview, there's only a certain amount we can give away.
Yeah.
But what I can say is that if you go to aka.ms/fabric roadmap, you'll be able to see that we are public previewing at the end of Q1.
Oh, excellent.
There might be a conference around there.
Yeah.
Somewhere in Vegas. So have a look at that.
So it'll line up with that then, you think?
Very possibly. I don't want to give anything away, but you can join the dots yourself.
Yes, that's fair. Great. So we've been asking some other questions of people here today. What's been your favourite part of the conference so far? Have you been to any other sessions? Is there anything else that's kind of...
Yeah, so I've been to I was in the keynote. That was really good. The 15-minute sessions are kind of really good. There was a brand new speaker today, and you would never know that they were a brand new speaker. That's really good, bringing new speakers along. So I love that. And this new sort of community area where they're doing sort of inviting people to come across and and answer questions. So I like that.
And do the Q&A, yeah.
What's your favourite bit?
It's been the community part of it. It's been doing that Q&A, being able to speak to attendees, being able to speak to other speakers as well, and just the enthusiasm from people. Like, I delivered a session on data mesh in Fabric, and just the enthusiasm from people talking about it afterwards and asking questions and things was really good.
So what did you think of the engagement? Because there was a lot more engagement than I thought there was going to be.
Yeah, I was expecting a lot more silence, but actually got some really good questions, lots of good engagement from people.
I was told people were going to be quite standoffish, but no, asking questions straight out of the bat.
Yeah.
Really impressed.
So if we park mirroring to the side, what's your favourite feature in Fabric apart from mirroring? Because you kind of have to say that.
Yeah, no, I legally have to say that. I would be very cheeky to say it's the bits that I'm working on. There is, I don't know whether I'm allowed to talk about it.
Something that's in the product at the moment. Then, if we park all the preview stuff,
what do I like about it? So one of the bits that I really like is the fact that we do things behind the scenes for users. So when you drop a Delta table into OneLake, it just magically appears in the SQL endpoint.
Yeah.
So that is one of my favorite features, because there's a lot going on behind the scenes and people just don't know it's there. It just automatically works.
Yeah.
Drop a set of files into a folder, and suddenly I can now query it and do all the things you can do in SQL Server.
Yeah, so it's a lot of the stuff that people might be taking for granted. Then it's a case of they're doing things, and there's a lot happening under the hood to just make it simple and easy for people.
Yeah. I think that's something that we're not shouting about, because we don't need to. It just works.
Nice, great. Well, thanks a lot for your time today. It was great speaking to you.
All right, and thank you.
Yeah, cheers.
There we go. It's lovely.
So it was great hearing from Mark there at the conference, and he was talking about mirroring, and it's all new, it's all in preview at the moment. I know there was potentially some NDA stuff that he didn't want to say or he couldn't say, but what do you think of it so far, Johnny?
So from what I've seen of it, it looks like a really exciting feature. I think that idea, so I was almost about to say it's like being able to shortcut your data, but it's not shortcut. It's a completely different feature to that. But that idea that you can plug into something that exists already and it will just magically appear for you inside of Fabric, I think is fantastic. So I think that Azure SQL DB is one of the preview data sources for it. And I believe you'll literally just be able to point it at a table, and then it's almost like SQL Server replication is the way I kind of think about it in terms of my sort of old school on-prem days. But being able to sort of get that data, fast and easily into Fabric, I think would be really, really powerful.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be interested to see how they potentially adapt that for like on-premises data sources, how that data is going to be brought in, like where does that compute happen? So like, what's driving that data coming from source and then into Fabric, and just like, I guess all the kind of edge cases and things like that will be pretty interesting. But I like the whole, like, it leans into that SaaS element of the platform where it's like a couple of clicks and it's there, and you don't need to care about what's under the hood. As Mark was kind of saying towards the end, it's like, there's a lot of stuff that we're doing in the background that you don't need to worry about, and that's the nice part of it, I think. Well, nice for some people, but makes other people nervous, I guess, where they want to get into the guts of everything.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess it's watch this space for mirroring, really. As I think Mark said, it's in private preview at the moment. Public preview, hopefully towards the back end of Q1, and then hopefully we'll be able to bring you more news and updates as and when that drops. Yeah,
looking forward to it. So to wrap up, you said that you were speaking there as well at Fabric February. What was it you were talking about? Let's have a little personal plug.
I did a talk all about what was called the power of analytics engineering, which was absolutely a He-Man reference because I'm a bit of a He-Man nerd in case you didn't know already. But it was all about what exactly is analytics engineering as a concept and how you can use analytics tools and techniques inside of Fabric. Yeah, that was me. What about yourself?
So I was talking about data mesh in Microsoft Fabric, which, like, I'll fully admit, was a little bit clickbaity. In the first kind of 15 minutes of the talk, I was like, oh, look at this fancy Nirvana. And actually, maybe we can't achieve pure data mesh, but Fabric does a lot to kind of get you there, get you towards that kind of journey. And whether you want to start thinking about federated data meshes where we can take some of the good parts and good concepts within data mesh, but not necessarily try and adopt everything, because company cultures and like maturity of organizations isn't always there to adopt that in a great way. I've just blown the whole talk now, so you don't need to go see it.
Repeat the whole talk. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know about you. I really enjoyed the few days that we had away. If anybody hasn't seen it already on the YouTube channel, we had Izzy, who is our marketing exec. They did a load of shorts, which gives you sort of a little bit on the background in terms of sort of us traveling there and the speaker dinner and some behind the scenes footage. So it was a really good laugh if you want to sort of go have a look at those. Also, like, fingers crossed, it will be happening again next year as well. I think I'd definitely recommend it. It was a really good couple of days.
Yeah, fantastic event. Great. Well, that's all we have for everyone today. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Advancing Fabric.
See you later.